Hello and welcome to the 5-Minute Sound Designer. My name is Akash Thakkar, and in this series, we'll be showing you a cool new technique in sound design in about 5 minutes or less. And in this video, I'm going to go into file formats, which may not sound super exciting, but honestly, when it comes to video game sound and music, it's incredibly important to pay close attention to what file formats you're using. And when I say file formats, I mean WAV or MP3 or any other audio file format that's out there. So I'm going to be playing around with the wind loop we made in video 2 of this series, and I'm going to be showing you how important different file formats are and how they can actually affect your sound. So this is just a general wind sound, a looping sound that I created a little while ago. And I'm going to play it for you near the end here so you can see that it loops perfectly. We can't hear the transition from the end of this file to the beginning. It's a nice, smooth loop. Now this is ideal. You can see on the left here in Adobe Audition that I'm playing around with a WAV file. So this is completely uncompressed, and this is as high quality as it can get. So when we're playing around with a WAV file, however, you probably know that WAV and AIFF and other uncompressed files are quite big. They take up a lot of space, and when you have 100 sound effects, 200, 300, it really adds up. And you can take up a lot of room in your game just through sound assets. So it isn't recommended that you use uncompressed file formats, uncompressed audio formats in video games. Now, a lot of people, what they do is then go ahead and use MP3s, which are super common and compressed and really small and have decent quality and all that sort of good stuff. But there's a big problem with MP3s in that when you're using them in games, you'll realize that all of your loops will no longer work if you're using an MP3. To put it simply, MP3s encode their data in chunks of 1024 bits. And if the last chunk of your piece of music or sound effect doesn't fall within 1024 bits exactly, the MP3 encoder will insert a tiny little bit of silence, a little bit of junk data to make sure it fills it out. So I have this MP3 version of the wind loop we just had earlier, and I'm going to hit play, and you'll notice that the loop doesn't work nearly as well. So you can hear a little hitch. So we don't want that. Even though that sounds really obvious, a lot of games actually still use MP3s, and it doesn't sound so great. So there is a compromise we can do. We can't use MP3s because the looping just doesn't sound good and it doesn't work. We can't use WAVs or AIFF files because they're just too big. But we can use OGG files, .ogg files, which are about as small as an MP3. They're open source, and they loop perfectly. So I'm going to open up the OGG file here on the left in Adobe Audition and hit play near the end, and you'll notice that the loop works perfectly. Works just as smoothly as it did with the WAV. So when you're working on games and you want a good compressed file format that loops well and plays well with basically every game engine in existence, I recommend going with OGG. This is incredibly important and can save you a lot of time and headache later down the line. So if you found this video helpful, feel free to subscribe below and sign up for my newsletter where I send out weekly tips on sound design and getting an awesome career in the game industry. So just click the link on the page here and sign up. So I will talk to you soon. Thanks.